Hey, y'all. This is Ples. Welcome to Scared of Beautiful. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. If you are new here, I hope you like what you see. I hope you stick around. Today, I am going to be doing my review for Married to Medicine. The last episode, episode 6, which was The Power of Crystals. Now, traditionally, I like to do my reviews pre-recorded. That way I can edit them and add in little funny things that I like to add. But the weather where I live has been crazy all week. My uploads have been stalling, dropping. One of my files got corrupted, and I was like, you know what? I'll just wait till Friday and do them live. I took today off to prepare for my birthday, which is Monday. It's not today. But, I was going to treat myself because we have been stuck in COVID land. I hadn't had a pedicure since February 2020. I haven't had someone else do my hair. Other than my twists, my braids, I wanted to get my hair straightened. I have natural hair. In a good trim so I could be slanging and banging, but this weather is not allowing it, so I had to cancel my hair appointment. I did go get my pedicure though. So I thought, what other way would I like to enjoy my off day other than chatting with you all here on my channel about some of these crazy reality TV shows that we like. So let's get into it. I have episodes 1, 2, and 3 of this season on my channel. I skipped episodes 4 and 5 because honestly, Married to Medicine is starting to head down the same road of Real Housewives of Atlanta for me. I'm almost over it, y'all. I love the show. I love the premise of the show. I love seeing Black love, number one. And I love seeing professional Black women and professional Black men showing what their lives are like, their day-to-day lives of being doctors. For some of them, I guess Cecil now is a real estate agent. But I like when it first came on, everything that it brought to television. So I skipped the last 2 episodes, y'all, because I was tired of the same regurgitated storylines, the same fighting. But episode 6 was actually pretty good. So I am excited to get into it with you all about it. And at the end, I am going to review just a little knowledge. As we know on Scared of Beautiful, I like to empower, enlighten, educate, and entertain. So I always try to add in a little knowledge. Even if it's something that you may not use, someone in your life may use it, but it's always good for us to learn things and consider different perspectives. We'll get into it as the episode goes on. So, like I said, this is Married to Medicine, episode 6 of season 8. The title of the episode was The Power of the Crystals. And the episode opens up with Dr. Heavenly. She is driving and irritating her daughter on the phone. Now, y'all who have already seen my other reviews and have heard me on All About the Tea know that I am not the biggest Heavenly fan. And that's to put it nicely. I don't really care for Heavenly that much. She's not my favorite. So yeah, you'll see that play out. I just wanted to give that disclaimer. It's nothing personal, y'all. I go off of what I see on these shows. So if you like Heavenly, wonderful. I do not. I don't like her personality and how she presents on the show. That's all I know of her. I don't know her personally. So do not take offense to what I say. And if you do, I don't care. I'm just letting you know none of this is this serious for me. My comments are based on what we see on the show. So We open up, she's driving along, calling her daughter Alora. I've always loved Alora because Alora checks her mama and puts her in place regularly. So she was irritating her because she's at home with the pandemic, I'm sure homeschooling by herself. She got, super weird with the baby on the phone, asking her if she was on her period. To any teenager, that's going to be embarrassing, especially on national television. So Alora hangs up in her face after that question, rightfully so. That's why I like Alora, because she gives Heavenly the business at every turn, and I'm here for it. Next, we see her get a phone call from Dr. Al Sharpton. He calls her because he has seen all of the work that Heavenly and Damon have been doing for COVID in Atlanta with their COVID mobile testing clinics that they've been taking around to different neighborhoods. He wants them to bring their mobile clinics to Washington, D.C. in August for the 57th anniversary of the historic March on Washington, where Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King presented his iconic I Have a Dream speech. So she was really shocked that he called her and even knew about the work that she and Damon was doing. So, she has to check in with Damon and they're going to try to make it happen. As much as I, again, personally don't like Heavenly, this is much bigger than Heavenly. So I was absolutely happy to see them, her and her husband, both succeed and do important work like this. I've already covered it once on my channel. COVID was disproportionately, and still is, disproportionately affecting the Black community. We didn't have as much access to resources such as testing, PPP, other things that we needed, particularly early on in the pandemic. So the work that they were doing was essential. So I definitely, applaud them for that. And I like that they're taking it to DC, another city that is full of African Americans that may not have access to those necessary resources. Next, we see Contessa. She's having wine with Scott's niece, who has come down to help them with their children during the pandemic. And she's talking about how frustrated she is between COVID, life, the home renovations that they have that are going on have been ongoing because of the pandemic. And the Scott's niece is really into spirituality and holistic healing, really into meditation, sage, alternative forms of medicine, and alternative things that you can use to heal your body, to center your spirit and yourself. One of those things is crystals. So, in particular, the niece has a crystal called rose quartz in her hands, and she tells Contessa about the properties of rose quartz and how it can help with love and self-love. So Contessa prays over the crystal, asking God to show her where the money and side chicks are. I was like, side chicks? Hold on now. Like, we didn't know about this one. Actually, I knew about it. For those of you all who follow us over on All About the Tea, we did a show probably, oh Lord, all the way back in January, where Monica, who runs and owns All About the Tea, gave us some inside scoop on what to expect with Married to Medicine. So if you all don't know, go watch that video. But also, this is going to play out this whole season. Allegedly, Scott has a side chick. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. I don't want to, really see it, but infidelity is a part of life. Unfortunately, sometimes for some people, it is a part of marriage. So I'm interested to see how they go through it, how they push through it. Stay tuned. Next, Contessa talks about the fractured relationships in the friend groups with the ladies, how they cannot get together without fighting so far. And the niece says, that's real high school. I agree, sis. That's why I haven't been watching. um, and then production starts to show a montage of all of the fights and arguments that have gone on throughout the years, but then particularly this year as well. Contessa then, looks at the crystals, knows everything that Scott's niece has been teaching her and her children. So she wants the niece to throw a healing party, a crystal session with the ladies. Child, we'll see how it works. We'll see if the crystals really do have power, but we're just going to pray that they can get through it because this group. Next, we see Simone and Cecil. They're having a nightcap, a drink in their basement. Their basement was really nice. Cecil really stocked that bar well. I love a man that knows his liquor and keeps a well-stocked bar. It's my kind of man. And I was laughing because I don't know if Simone thought she was fooling people, but if you looked closely, she kept, Cecil asked her what she wanted. She kept saying she wanted water. He poured a glass this big of pineapple Ciroc. I'm like, that's not water. And the production is so shady. They kept zooming in on him, putting the bottle back up, on the bar. Anyway, Cecil said he almost doesn't know what to do with himself since now they're pretty much empty nesters with Michael off at college. Last episode, they took Michael to college, but their oldest son Miles is still at home working, so they're not technically empty nesters yet. And Simone offers to leave him a honey-do list. He declines. Cecil asks to be caught up on what's happening with the ladies. Yeah, so I try to give Cecil leeway because I really do like him and his personality, and I think he means well. He's just a fun-loving guy. But traditionally, I don't really like when men get in the middle of women's mess. But I do understand this is a show. They're married, so he has to, in order for the stories to go, he has to kind of ask, hey, what's going on with y'all now? And so Simone tells him that Jackie did call her to have a discussion. However, she's not really feeling the discussion because she knows that Heavenly is the one who set Jackie up, who prompted Jackie to call her. So she doesn't really feel it sincere since Simone didn't just call on her own. Cecil is like, look, there's too much technicality. Just give her the benefit of the doubt for being the bigger person and calling first. She's probably just testing the waters. You all have not been on the best terms, so just go with it. Next, we see Jackie and Curtis. Jackie asked about the basketball game. I think in episode 4, Simone and Cecil hosted a basketball game as kind of like a final send-off for Michael between the adults and the kids. Simone did invite Jackie at Michael's request, but unfortunately she was on call. She couldn't come, but Curtis showed up for her. So she's asking Curtis, how did the basketball game go? He says they had a good time and wonders what the reception would be like if Jackie were there herself. She wonders, since Simone did invite her, if she would have warmly greeted her and embraced her. Cecil, they start flipping back and forth between the couples, and I actually liked how they edited this or produced this. So it went between Jackie and Curtis talking about what's going on with her and Simone to Simone and Cecil. So now we're back to Simone and Cecil. Cecil says it doesn't matter the source of the conversation, whether it came from Heavenly or not. They need to have the hard conversation and see if they can get their relationship back on track. Simone says she's reluctant to have the conversation because she and Jackie have never been in this place in 20 years of their friendship. She doesn't know exactly how to fix it or what to say. Cecil says he thinks that there's hope. but the ladies are both super stubborn. And I can honestly say I've been in this type of situation with a friend that I had not a 20-year friendship, but probably a 10-year friendship. And honestly, we still haven't had the hard conversation, but we did get back to a place where we're cordial. We check in with each other from time to time. And look, I mean, I'll get into it later on with what I absolutely think about Simone and Heavenly. But one thing that I'll say now, every relationship can't be healed, but you can get to a place where there's no ill will and there's no animosity. So that's what I think ultimately you should always strive for. Even if you can't be the way you used to be, you also don't want to be enemies with the person. And I definitely understand that feeling. Curtis, they go back to Jackie and Curtis. Jackie and Curtis says they need to stop with the small steps and take a big step. But Jackie is also apprehensive, just as Simone is. She says that a big step will be the face-to-face convo, but she's always busy. Jackie's like, I'm always busy. I haven't been able to schedule it and take time out with COVID and blah, blah. Curtis leans in and says, can I tell you a secret? You're always busy. And for those of you who watch the show, you know what Curtis was referring to. Jackie is always busy. And, you know, for my workaholic friends out there, life can't just be work. Life is your spouse, your family, your children, your friends. And even if you're super busy, you have to make time for those friendships that matter. So I'm glad, and Jackie learned that with Curtis. So hopefully now she can learn that with her other friends. Jackie says she also doesn't want it to go bad. She doesn't want to have the one-on-one conversation with Simone and then things get further out of whack. But she'll try. She doesn't know if she's ready to take that first big step. They go back to Simone and Cecil. Cecil saying, hey, growing apart happens, but he believes that Simone should try with Jackie because, again, it is a 20-year friendship. They had a business together at one point. They went to lunch together all the time. They were really the best of friends. So it is sad to see their relationship kind of fall apart like this. Simone says she's willing to have the conversation, but she's not very optimistic. And of course, messy production is like, why aren't you optimistic? Because she said she wasn't optimistic in the confessionals. And I love Simone because she's such a quick thinker and she's very witty. She said, because I'm a pessimist, you know? And of course, you wouldn't be optimistic if you're naturally a pessimist. She didn't feed into production trying to read more into her statement. And I really like that. That's why I love Simone. Next, we see Heavenly and Damon. They tell all the other couples about the conversation with Reverend Sharpton, and they invite all the other couples up to Washington, D.C. to help fulfill this mission of getting people tested at the March on Washington. I love it. I'm so happy that all of them went to make history. Last year was so hard. And in August, that was still the wake of George Floyd. So the March on Washington, the commemoration of it was even more important. So I'm really glad that they're going to take this trip. Next, we see the men meet up at Topgolf. Damon brings his two oldest children, his sons, and then Cecil brings Miles along as well. Again, I was falling out laughing, y'all, in this whole scene with Cecil's pants. That both of them as a couple, Simone and Cecil, have the most interesting style and dress choices. But I definitely think Cecil is the most stylish of the two, because some of Simone's choices are interesting to say the least. Curtis is horrible at Topgolf, and he blames it on the clubs. He says the clubs are too short for him, and everybody laughs at him because he is, as Bishop, I see Bishop in comments, hey Bishop, as the Bishop likes to say, Curtis is a man of leisure. And all he does is play golf all day, so they didn't expect him to be that horrible at Topgolf. Damon starts talking about the trip to DC, and he's like, because of Damon was over there doing that humble brag, he says because of the pandemic and for safety reasons, they need to get a private jet to go to DC. And all of the men are like, okay, cool, cool, cool. Curtis wants to know if the wives are coming. Like, that was hilarious to me because I love being a fly on the wall with me in conversations. He was like, are the wives coming? Because he wants to make sure that the private jet, they're also going to rent a private house so that they don't have to deal with hotels and things like that because of COVID. He wants to make sure that the jet and the house don't become, a house of horrors. Scott then calls Contessa an old African proverb. Like, jeez. She's like a sleeping elephant. You can do whatever you want, but don't poke it. And Cecil, again, the class clown, is like, that's all they do. They poke everything. They poke the bear, they poke the elephant, they poke the dog. Like, these women poke. This is what they do. They are happy to go on the mission to Washington, D.C. Then they start asking the younger men, the sons that are there, about Black Lives Matter. So I'll say this. I think partially because they come from, most of those children, the children that were there, Heavenly's children and Simone's children, come from a place of privilege. Their parents have done well, which has benefited them. They've been pretty much raised in private schools and things like that their whole lives. I think their parents need to have kind of harder, more realistic conversations with them. Because when they talked about BLM and protesting and things like that, for me, it was just a little surface, but I'm also speaking from a 37-year-old perspective and the research that I do. And these are very young men. So I just wish their parents kind of taught them more about civil rights and different history, because Heavenly's son started off with All Lives Matter, and I cringed. I was like, don't even introduce that phrase to the conversation. But I knew what he was trying to say. He ended up good, talking about protesting not being a trend, and that's the biggest thing. That wasn't a moment in time. That wasn't, the Blackout Tuesday and all of that stuff, hashtags that companies were doing. It's way bigger than that. So if you're watching, if you're out there now, we know this week another incident happened right in Minnesota. And in, I think, what was that, Denver? There have been several incidences this week that have come to light. So the fight isn't over. Protesting cannot be something that's trendy. We have to keep it going. Miles made a very good point, Simone's son, talking about voting and holding politicians accountable for change. And that's the big thing. Yes, we can vote, and you should, please. But it's more than just voting. It doesn't stop there. I see so many people say, I voted and they ain't doing nothing. You got to make them do something. Write them, email them, call them, show up at the city council meeting, show up at their offices. They have public offices. They have community liaisons who have to speak to you. So hold these politicians accountable. Honestly, I was really, really happy overall with this part of the episode. I love to see, that's one thing I love about Married to Medicine, because you don't get this on the Housewives shows. I love that they actually show the marriage parts, and the husbands get their own segments and the children get their own segments. That was a very powerful segment, particularly to see that many successful Black men in a room together, all sharing experiences and saying how, look, even though I'm a doctor, these things have impacted me. Um, that was a great scene. Next, we get to Contessa's crystal healing party. Everyone is on their way to the party. We see Heavenly in the car. She has Mr. Quentin Latham, Funky Dineva in the car with her on the way to the party. And in their car ride, he wants to make sure there's no sacrilegious stuff going on at this crystal party. Now, I'll get to this at the end, y'all, but I'm a Christian. I know, I think they were doing it just to be funny. But one thing that really bothers me about a lot of Christians is that we aren't open to different methods of healing or learning. Just like when Contessa first saw the rose quartz, she prayed over the rose quartz. You use tools that are on this earth the way you use them. There are a lot of Christians who don't even want to go to yoga or meditate. You can do yoga and pray to God, Jesus, while you're doing yoga. You can meditate. In fact, the Bible tells you to meditate on the scriptures. You can meditate, and it doesn't mean that it's sacrilegious. God looks at your heart and what you use it for. And just like some people may use other religions for darkness and dark practices, there are Christians that pray against you, that curse you, that use Jesus and God negatively. I can show you a whole bunch of them over there on TBN that for some reason think Jesus and God only serve white people. So think about that. If you truly believe that God created everything, and I believe that, that means he created stones. That means he created crystals. He put all of this here, and all of it has a meaning. Nature is one of the biggest things. Why do you think Jesus went to the woods and the wilderness to pray? He had to get close to nature. Anyway, off my soapbox, but just think about it. Even, I'm not getting into no debate, y'all. This is what I think. Don't come. I'm telling you now, if I see comments, even in the playback, calling me demonic or saying that's demonic for a girl, okay. I have a relationship with God, and I hope you have one with him too. And your relationship is personal. And he will impact your conscience with what is right and wrong. And that's how I live my life. I read things, I research, but I go from there and I live and let live. You can't beat people over the head about Jesus and think that that's going to make them run to him. It's not. It actually pushes people further away. And when Jesus came, the commandment was to love. So love your neighbor. Learn to see people's differences and love them through it, even if you think it's a sin. You don't have to be around it or partake in it, but you shouldn't hate people. And you shouldn't put people down if they think something differently than you. Y'all just think differently. Anyway, so I didn't really like that dig, but okay, cool. He says he wishes Quad was there and that they could have hung out, but Quad is in Mexico tooting it and booting it. So then we see Heavenly recount the argument because most people, if you're on Instagram or whatever, saw this argument play out last year where Heavenly Quad posted a picture of her from Mexico. She had on her bikini. The booty was sitting high and tight and right, and the booty was facing the camera, So she's newly divorced. I guess she was in Mexico trying to get her groove back. But Heavenly put some like emojis under her picture, and Quad clapped back. She clapped back hard, very hard. And Heavenly says, all she talked about was my mediocre booty. If I wanted a better booty, I could have got one. Heavenly, no. See, this is why people who like Heavenly say, she just tell the truth. She don't tell the truth. Especially not where she is concerned. So that is not what Quad's clapback was. It wasn't about her mediocre booty. Quad went in. Quad said, and I quote, "Don't be a hater all of your life. You're just mad because you spent all of your money at the doctor, but you still don't have the body that I was given by God. Hashtag lipo, hashtag lap band, hashtag bariatric surgery." So she wasn't talking about your mediocre booty. She was talking about the fact, the allegation that you had weight loss surgery to get on the show. And so all the people there are like, oh, she's super honest. Why can't she be honest about that? There are lots of people out here who are overweight, who struggle with that. It would be powerful for her to share her story of weight loss surgery, why she got it, why she felt she needed it, what her weight loss struggles have been her whole life. But she's too arrogant. She wants to lie and make you think that, I just woke up like this. No. So when you give shade, you get it back. And what's interesting to me is she said Quad clapped back too hard, but with the whole Simone and Cecil Twitter incident, you told Simone you're allowed to clap back as hard as you want to once someone comes for you. So Quad thought you were coming for her. She handled it accordingly. Turnabout is fair play, honey. But for me, what was super interesting about that whole thing with Quad and Heavenly was 2 weeks ago, y'all were just sitting up in Heavenly's closet kikiing about Toya. Now you're on Instagram beefing. Make it make sense. Like, that's the real gag. Y'all were just good dragging Toya in her house and how she allegedly got her house through the mud. But now, y'all beefing on Instagram. I just, it honestly makes me sad because these ladies are well into their 40s. Well, Quiet isn't yet, but the others are in their 40s and 50s. And they're still doing this. Next, we see Heavenly and Funky Dineva still talking. Heavenly claims she didn't respond to Quad going in on her about her body work because she doesn't have a husband that loves her or kids. Like, for real? She went too hard, but you go there. And this is honestly another reason. Like, people are like, why you don't like? I don't like her. She has lied, brought Jewel Tankard and all of these people on this show for years, talking about she's going on a spiritual healing journey. She's getting a therapist. She's getting what? Girl, we got to try whatever we can try with you because clearly nothing has worked in the past. So maybe these crystals are going to work. And why anytime you have a disagreement with another woman, you go straight to Damon. You go straight to somebody having a husband. Honey, a husband is not currency. Sorry to tell y'all, in the South, they try to make it. But you said a husband and kids who love you. According to you, your kids love your husband more than they love you. And the word on the street is your husband might love you, but he loves other people in his office as well. We'll leave that there. But when your skeletons aren't buried far, you may want to watch where you're going with, I got a husband. Like that's a medal or something. She had one too. The way she looked in that picture, she'll get another. She can still have babies too. Like whatever. Anyway, so we get to the crystal party. Jackie, the party was called the Celestial Celebration of Friendship and Love. Very nice. Jackie comes first, asks if the crystals come in bigger sizes. I thought that was so funny. And Contessa's like, well, dang, are you using this for protection or for a weapon? That was good. Simone shows up second, and Jackie says she's not going to look Simone's way. Then Simone says, I'm not going to sit by Jackie. Y'all, these people are over 50. Jackie won't even look at her. And Simone sees her and says, I'm not going to sit by her. Even if you don't sit by somebody, you can just say, hey, girl, how you doing? Again, be cordial and go sit at the table you want to sit at. But to completely avoid each other and the room is but yay big makes no sense. Next, we see LaToya on her way to the party, and Toya is super late. We see that she's late because she's bringing Carrie Wells and Lisa Nicole. Toya is surprised that Contessa even invited her because of her and Contessa's ongoing fights. They then clearly are going through social media. Carrie Wells asks why Quad is posting pictures on Instagram like she's Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B. Y'all, this is why I really don't like when they stick random white women in all black casts. I hate it. Because everything in me was like, why are they allowing Carrie Wells to speak out of turn towards Quad, even if you don't like her? Like, ma'am, that's not you. That's not your place. And then to compare her to Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B, why? Why you didn't compare her to Coco? Like Ice-T's wife. Why are we acting like black women are the only women, or Kim Kardashian or somebody? I don't know. Why are we acting like black women are the only women who take pictures showcasing their assets? I wish they had left her where she was. We didn't like her in season 1. We don't like her now. Carrie and her fake black lips and whatever else she done got worked on can go back under the rock that she been under for the last for the last 7 seasons. We don't want her at all. Return to sender. Contessa, we get back to the party. She's talking about how healing is necessary, but sometimes words and actions are irreparable. Lisa Nicole is back in the car saying all butts look alike on Instagram, and that they all look like they're fake, that they're fat transfers. So I'm guessing she's inferring that Quad's butt is fake. The party get started because Toya is just taking too long. And they start with a meditation and setting intentions for what they wish to receive from the party. Um, Toya and crew come in. Heavenly is like, where's Toya coming from with these recycled friends, referring to Carrie Wells and Lisa Nicole Cloud. And then she does her patented cackle, which I absolutely hate. Every time Heavenly opens her mouth, this is me. Oh my God. Sorry, y'all. That's how she sounds. And I hate it. I wish there was a warning that I could mute my TV before she comes on. They give out some information about the crystals. Heavenly is hangry per usual. She's hungry, angry, all of those things, and ready to get it going. They start passing around a quartz crystal, and then the task for the group is to say something you can be forgiven for or express forgiveness to someone. So first is Simone. She asks for forgiveness from anyone in the room whom she may have hurt or cut. Not direct as we would like, but it's a start. Next, Anila asks for forgiveness for equating her life's struggles as an Indian American with Black Lives Matter. That's an issue that she had with Heavenly, so Heavenly openly forgives her for that. Next, we see Contessa, who asks to be forgiven for being dismissive of what she feels is BS. This was referring to her issues with Toya. She believes sometimes people's personalities don't mesh, but that doesn't mean that they should be combative or confrontational every time they see one another. And I agree. People really act like, we all should get along. Get along means you can be a grown up and be in a room without acting crazy. But that doesn't mean we really like each other or that we're going to be BFFs. But I do agree that most adults should work at being cordial, because the conflict and tearing stuff up, throwing stuff up everywhere you go, who wants that? You can't even go out to have a decent dinner or drink without somebody turning up and shutting down the thing. Now, all of us looking crazy at the restaurant. No one wants to do that all the time. But some people, the energy doesn't go. You don't get along, and that's cool. Jackie wants to apologize for not taking a stand and for being dismissive. She has a hard time doing what's right because she simply doesn't want conflict around her. So she's the type of person, conflict makes her uncomfortable. She tries to avoid it at all costs. And in avoiding it, she was dismissive of her friend and she didn't take a stand, referencing Simone. Again, these people weren't being direct, Simone doesn't know if Jackie is talking to her or about her because she talks in code and she's being safe. She doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, meaning Heavenly. So Heavenly finally apologizes to Toya and says that her conflict with Toya has led to some self-reflection on her part. She says she's sorry. And this is where I love production, because they show a montage of all of the times that Heavenly has said she's sorry to someone to just go back and do the same thing. But Toya says she will accept the apology. Contessa's pregnant friend breaks the ice and ends the scene and says she apologizes for being hungry. She's pregnant and ready to wrap it up so she can get her and her baby something to eat. Anila and Heavenly are the only ones who seemingly move forward at this time. They talk to each other on the side and again apologize to each other. Heavenly says the party was BS and that they all need Jesus. Again, if Jesus solved it, if Jesus was the only thing that was solving heavenly, you're not giving Jesus a good name because you bought a jewel tanker, you'd have been to the pastor, you've been to everybody talking about working on your aggression and healing and stuff like that, and it never works. So we need all of the powers that be. Maybe if you were open, you would have gotten more from the party. Last scene, we see Simone call Jackie to meet at Jackie's office so they can have a conversation. Y'all, we're finally here. A long time coming. So maybe, just maybe, the crystals did their job. All right. So they start off with small talk, about Michael. Sorry about that. And it says that they were it was very awkward when they first got together. It's like meeting an old boyfriend. Jackie says that she misses her friend. And one thing I will say about Jackie, she has been very vocal with that. And that's why I think she's pure and pure in intentions with wanting to get her and her and Simone's relationship back on the right path. Because she has repeatedly told many people that she misses her friend. Simone is the one who's more closed off. So when Jackie says that, Simone gets very emotional. Jackie gets up to get her a paper towel. And Simone says the biggest issue for her was the silence from Jackie. The silence was hard for her. She did not take a stand with her when Heavenly was going in on Cecil and all the things were happening on Twitter. Jackie apologizes for that, but said that she was hurt and didn't want to hurt anyone else's feelings, meaning Heavenly. Simone says, but you always checked me. You always took a stand with me and told me when I was wrong. And honestly, as friends, that's what we should do. We should tell our friends when they're wrong. And I don't know why Jackie didn't hold Heavenly to that same standard that she always held Simone to. Jackie says she never spoke ill of Simone, but she understands that her silence was interpreted as taking sides. And people have to understand when you don't say something, especially in a time of conflict, unfortunately, silence is being complicit. Just like all this stuff we're talking about now in social justice. Your allies, your friends, who you think are your friends, who aren't standing up and saying anything about these injustices against our community, they're complicit. So it wasn't that deep, but it's the same type of thing that was going on with Jackie and Simone. Jackie then flips it again. She flips it back on Simone and says, well, you were silent with the Buffy situation, and that's where I was hurt at. You should have done more and stood up to defend me. I'm sorry, y'all. I disagree. I've seen plenty of people say, oh, yeah, she did it too. She didn't stand up against Buffy. The Buffy situation was a completely different thing. And honestly, if I were Jackie's friend in that moment, I would not have defended her honor. Now, I wouldn't have told her she was wrong in public, but definitely behind closed doors, I would have pulled her coattail and said, Jackie, you are absolutely wrong to divulge this lady's personal, private health information that is very sensitive to her in a room of people. And then the apology that Jackie gave was horrible. She was full of ego, full of pride. I apologize. I am finished. You don't get to be that indignant when you were the one in the wrong. And I see somebody saying she apologized multiple times. No, she didn't. She apologized maybe 2 or 3 times, and every time was a stank apology. So yes, until I get a genuine apology, I'm going to keep saying it because Jackie had breast cancer twice. They went through this whole emotional thing in a minute. She should know how it feels when someone tells something private about your medical history that you don't want spoken about. Jackie has been very vocal since she's been cured from cancer, but I'm pretty sure at the time she was still dealing with cancer and chemo and all of her different recovery needs, there was no one broadcasting in the whole room that Jackie had cancer. That is inappropriate. And when you do something like that, she doesn't know where Buffy was in her childbirth process. She don't know if the girl is still going to specialists to see if she can naturally have children. If she's trying to get us what you call it? Sub y'all, I'm losing words today. A surrogate. You don't know where she was. And she was wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Next thing. But they both agree that they're glad Heavenly prompted them to talk. Jackie talks about how much she loves Simone and how Simone was always there for her during her battles with cancer. Jackie gets emotional talking about how Simone supported her and how much she really appreciates it. They then make a pinky promise to try to do better. They will work to rebuild their friendships. And this is the first time where Simone says, I miss my friend too. So I was really happy to see them make up, do their, pinky promise. And I hope it continues. However, I do watch What Happens Live and things like that. And I've seen Simone a few times and doesn't seem like her mood has changed very much. And to that, I'm going to say, as I said earlier, sometimes things don't fully heal, meaning it gets back where it used to be. But I also don't want them to be enemies. And honestly, people hate to admit it, but people do outgrow each other. And personally, again, this is just me reading Simone. I think the Heavenly thing was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I think there have been little things happening. It could have been, when they tried to go into practice together. It's why, mixing business with existing friends is very tough. It's a tough thing to navigate. So it could have been that. Could have been some other things that we didn't see. But a lot of times I can talk about in my own friendship, when I finally cut the cord, it wasn't what she did at that moment. It was the buildup. Because I'm honestly like Jackie. I hate conflict. And people are like, you're a lawyer. Exactly. I have enough conflict. My job is by nature a combative job. I don't want combativeness or confrontation in my personal life, be that a romantic relationship, a familiar relationship, a friendship relationship, nothing. I want to laugh, enjoy each other, love on you, have fun, sing, dance, talk some ish, get a drink, get some good food, gossip a little bit. I want to have fun. So I don't, when things happen that strike me, that might offend me or nick at me, I let it go. I let it go. I excuse it because I love you and I know you love me. Right? And so I'm like, oh, they ain't mean it like that. Oh, they just joking. Oh, she don't know what she doing. I don't think she really meant it like that. Like, I'll excuse it and excuse it and excuse it. But it'll start to build. And once I'm at my level, I'm at my level. And I honestly feel like the whole incident with Heavenly, but then also the incident with Buffy and how Jackie was responding to Buffy really rubbed Simone the wrong way. And I think that coupled with some other stuff is what made her be like, I'm good. And honestly, it can happen. 20 years is a long time. So I wish them well. The last thing that I just kind of wanted to touch on to give you all some knowledge that you may or may not already have, we can learn a little bit about crystals and your chakras and alternative methods to healing. So I'll do, because I think this is kind of small. All right. So one thing that you can learn about with your healing, and you can't even see because all this stuff at the top, but I'll read it for you. So I got this from the Extension Healer. This is not my work, y'all, but I thought it gave a good overview of your different chakras and what some stones you could use to possibly support you in your journey to healing those things. So your chakras are all the centers within your body where your energy focused and where you may have certain deficiencies and sometimes they become out of balance and they really affect who and what you are. Again, as I said earlier, I believe God created all things. I also believe he gave us things on this earth that can help you. I've spoken before. I probably will do some videos on it, but I have anxiety, always have. Probably since I was a little girl, but it got worse. And I choose not to take medication because I don't want to form any habits and become dependent on medication. So my preferred methods of dealing with my anxiety is psychotherapy, prayer, meditation, and also learning and studying more about, your metaphysical body, your consciousness, your subconsciousness, and energy. Holy Spirit is an energy. So I started reading this book, and I will probably do a video on the book one day. But it was just like an introduction to your chakras. And a lot of the things that I read really resonated with me. And I knew that I was out of alignment with my root chakra and my third eye. So what are ways for you to know that these things are balanced and unbalanced? So we'll just go from bottom to top, which is how you should always go when you're dealing with your chakras. So your base is your root, right? When your root is in balance, you are secure, stable, you rarely get sick, you are trusting, grounded, and independent. When your root chakra is out of balance, you feel insecure and unstable, you get sick a lot, you are fearful, you have an unhealthy ego, and are dependent. A few stones that can help you balance your root chakra are the smoky quartz, the red jasper, the red tiger's eye, obsidian, jet black tourmaline, and the bloodstone. The next chakra is your sacral chakra. If it is in balance, you are friendly and passionate, creative, self-forgiving. You have a high self-worth. If it is unbalanced, you are shy, withdrawn, hedonistic, you are guilt-ridden, and you have a low self-worth. Stones that can help you balance your sacral chakra are the chameleon, peach moonstone, orange avertine, and orange, I think that's the cassie, excuse me. Next is your your solar plexus chakra. When this is imbalanced, you are disciplined and driven, confident, you have integrity, and you are respectful. When it is unbalanced, you have procrastination, you're self-conscious, addicted, conniving, you can be a bully or a pushover. Stones that can help you balance this is the citrine, tiger's eye, amber, yellow calcite, and the topaz. The next one is your throat chakra. When it's balanced, you feel expressive, you're reassured, appreciative, creative, and honest. When it's unbalanced, you criticize, complain, you're over talkative or timid, can't express creativity. When you don't really know how to use your voice, or you use it in the wrong ways to talk about other people and keep others down. Stones that can help you are the blue lace agate, angelite, turquoise, amazonite, I think that's the kyrite, blue tiger's eye, and the blue topaz. Your third eye chakra, when you're balanced, it helps with your intuition, you're focused, have clarity. When it's unbalanced, you're lost, confused, you have a busy mind, and you're stressed. Stones that can help you with that are the lapis lazuli, iolite, sapphire, and the sodalite. Next, you have your crown chakra. When it's balanced, you are connected to your source, your higher power, God, whatever you call them, inspired. There's the unity of consciousness. When you're unbalanced, you're disconnected from your divine self and others. And stones that can help you with the crown chakra are selenite, clear quartz, moonstone, fluorite, amethyst, and labradorite. Labradorite. Thank you. So this is just some general knowledge. If you're interested, I definitely suggest you, one, use your Googles, but above Google, look for actual good resources. There's a lot of information out here. There are also actual books. I'll do a video or I'll at least post it on my Instagram, book that I read to start helping me with these things. And again, with all of these things, you take what you can, leave what you don't need or can't use. If you read into it and think, oh no, this isn't for me, then don't. I have a hematite bracelet that I wear every day. And again, with my anxiety, this just helps me if I'm feeling anxious, if I need grounding. I also go outside. My house has a really nice pond with ducks and everything right next to it. So I go and I love being barefoot. So I go and stand by the lake with my feet in the grass, to ground myself, center myself to the earth. And honestly, since I've been doing these things, it has really helped me in my mind stop from racing 20,000 miles a minute, because it does that sometimes. So you have to do what works for you. Like I said, I started looking into these things because I did not want to get on Xanax or Valium or any other types of medications. And it was some things that my therapist introduced me to, some other practical tools that aren't like, if you don't like, I'll do a video on some things that can help you if you suffer from anxiety or depression. So all of them aren't crystals or stones, but I just wanted to let you all know about things that are out there that you may not have thought about. And again, it's how you use them. I'm not that deep into it yet where I'm charging up my stones and leaving them under the moonlight and stuff like that. I'm not that deep into it. Some people are, and there's no shade. But for me, when I need to be reminded and be present that I'm here, sometimes it just helps to hold on to something, or my bracelet or whatever I need in that moment. So the power of the crystals. I hope you all enjoyed the review. I know I didn't mean to go this long, but I get to talking running my mouth. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed the review. I hope you found something you can use. Monica, thank you so much for the super sticker. If I missed any other super stickers or super chats, y'all, please forgive me. I'm trying to do all of this stuff by myself. But I love y'all and I thank you all so much for the support here on my channel, also on All About the Tea. I'm very grateful that I finally decided to do this. You all have been great people. The reception has been great. I love doing this. And I love and hope that you all are getting something from my videos and the way that I put my own little spin on it. So I'm running over. I'll do another live. I think I'll move it back to 6. I'm ready to love. Like I said, if you missed it earlier, I try to upload my videos, but we have been having torrential rain since Monday. And I don't know if it's my internet, my computer, YouTube itself, but my uploads kept dropping and stalling out. Then one of my, on my SD card, one got corrupted. And so I was like, you know what? I'm off Friday. I'll just go live Friday and we can chat about these things. So at 6, I'm gonna do Ready to Love. We'll be on All About the Tea at 8. And yeah, so thank you all so much for joining me. Please like the video before you leave. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think it's gonna last? Do you think have you ever tried crystals yourself? Do you like heavenly? Whatever you want to let me know, guys, just let me know your comments. And I thank you for being here with me today. And I will see you all on the next one. Bye.